Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast in the history of podcasts. My name is Brian Neal, and Bill's not here today. It's another solo episode from Brian Neal, Flying Zebra. We are gearing up for our big event, Huddle, Huddle, our big sales leader event. We've got about 80 salespeople, 80 sales leaders, I should say, coming into Indianapolis. I'm recording this in the early part of September 2024. And we're going to continue to have that down the road. So just pay attention at blind-zebra.com. And if you want to go check out the operating system, Blind Zebra Sales Operating System, we just finished our fourth certification class. We have 21 certified coaches now. And I know some of you listening, like, I wonder what that's all about. We actually had a listener group come in. It's a corporate certification, so it's not an individual thing where you pay, your company pays, but go to blind-zebra.com to check that out, the Blind Zebra Sales Operating System, if you want to get personally certified by me to work these tools. And I am lucky enough, Bill's not here. You've heard us talk about video and things like that before. And I'm very, very lucky to be joined with someone who I'm a little uncomfortable saying their name. Going to come clean on that. It's happened. His name is Andy Mork. Andy Mork. And why am I uncomfortable saying the name? Andy wants to know. Why am I uncomfortable? It's because I am a Gen X kid. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And there was a sitcom called Mork and Mindy. Yep. And Mork was a character by Robin Williams. Brilliant dude, brilliant comedian, and a fantastic show. And he was a little goofy in the show. And so you wouldn't call someone, you wouldn't say you're a Mork. It's almost like a derogatory statement, even though it's a great character. And so I'm getting comfortable now in my own skin saying your last name, Andy.
Right.
Mork. So welcome.
And growing up, every single one of my teachers, first grade, second grade, third grade, they would always ask, "Where's Mindy?" At, the first or second day of school. And all of my first and second grade classmates would be like, why does every teacher every year, like, you're so weird? Because there was like this bond with my teachers.
So great.
I mean, in my older years, I've embraced it. So this is an example of a lunchbox, old school lunchbox that we found at a vintage shop. And
so great. Andy's holding up a metal lunchbox from the 70s and 80s with Mork and Mindy on it, which we all, my age kid, we all know what that is. So brilliant, man. The other great thing that just happened. So Bill and I have been podcasting for 17 and a half years. I'm telling Andy the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, but do the 17, I got 11 million, 20 million. It's like, oh, you'll do it. I'm like, this guy, like, let's go. We start going. We're 10, 12 minutes in. I look up. I'm like, where's the timer? I didn't press record. Number one rule in podcasting, kids. It works way better if you hit the record button. So, I don't care how long you've been doing something, you can screw up bigger than anybody and that's been doing it for 10 minutes all the time. So
it was good practice.
It was great practice. Yeah. So I'm calling this timeout. And he's like, why are we doing timeout? I'm like, I didn't press record. So ta-da. And I just gave someone, I was doing a recording with a friend of mine in my studio. He wanted to observe it. And I said on the live podcast, my other podcast, I said the number one rule in podcasting is always hit the record button. And then I didn't the next time I recorded. So we all have growth opportunities. So Andy, thanks for coming. Andy is CEO of Mork Productions, which I think is just great. And another little endeavor that's spun out of Mork Production or spun within Mork Productions called BrandSlap. We're going to hear about those a little bit later. But first, if you could just tell the Advanced Selling Podcast tribe your story, how you got to where you are.
Totally. So yeah, I've been in video production for, close to 12 years. Oh no, exactly 12 years actually, now that I think about it. But that's not where my career started. I was actually a music major in college. So I'm a drummer. And when I graduated, I joined an organization that, had full-time musicians on staff, and we would travel internationally to conferences and various events they were putting on, and we would be the music portion of those events. So I got to travel a lot in my 20s. So Australia, Greece, Spain, all over the US. And because of that, I decided to buy a camera because I'm a tourist. I'm standing in front of the Sydney Opera House. I want to be able to take a picture and remember the moment.
Yes.
And just very quickly fell in love with photo and video. It was kind of a natural extension to what I enjoyed about music and performance. If I'm at a conference or an event, there's a target audience. They're typically a specific demographic. You know, I've been at events of a bunch of 7th and 8th graders. You know, I've been at an event of all legal, you know, lawyers and judges. Those are two very different audiences that you're going to communicate differently to.
Maybe there's some similarities there, but go ahead.
yeah, true. You know, platform matters.
Yes.
When you know, I've played at 30-person coffee house gigs, and I've played at 6,000 person conferences, and the way you communicate to those two audiences is drastically different. In the same way that video, you know, where's the video sitting? If it's on your website, that means people have sought out your brand and they are intentionally wanting to learn about you, which means you can craft a bit more of a story. But if your video is going to sit on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or something like that, that audience is not there to see you. They're there to scroll. And so that video needs to capture their attention right away. And so the way you communicate is very similar in how music was. So I gravitated towards it, dove into learning, and eventually started my own company about 7 years ago, which is Mork Productions, where we shoot TV commercials and things like that. Shoot, you know, videos for websites, social media videos, etc. Anything that's forward facing. But in that time, the past 7 years, really started to see a gap when it came to social media specifically, of companies just creating more short form content. It was very common for businesses to invest in that one-off who we are video or testimonial video or service video, something like that, that just sits on their website for 5 to 7 years. But brands were not creating consistent content to stay in front of their audience. And so we birthed BrandSlap as a separate entity with the goal of helping organizations and sales leaders be able to create short form content for the sake of staying top of mind to their audience. And that's been a really fun experience to start to grow that.
It's so great. And I told you in pre-show and in the first time we recorded this without the recording on, I told you that everyone listening to this podcast is going, well, here we go again. Bryan and Bill, Advanced Selling Podcast, talking about doing video. Well, here's the thing, gang. Andy said it, not me this time. And I didn't even like cue him up to it. He just said it. And he said it 3 times already because I didn't hit the record button. So it's you have to open yourself up to the idea that if you're going to be remotely relevant, and attention is something that salespeople, they just clamor for it because it's so hard to get attention. You have to embrace this concept of using video and yourself in short form to help garner attention. So I jokingly said, resistance I hear, and I just love talking about this because people like, we do podcasting, we tell everyone to do a podcast. And the biggest point of resistance I get is people say, I don't like the sound of my voice. And when we tell them to do a video, they go, I don't like how I look on camera. And I tell them, if that's the case, then you should move to your basement and don't talk, because that's how you look and that's how you sound. In the story, done. Like, that's it. And we're so like worried about the judgment of it or how it comes off. And like, that's how you sound and that's how you look. And so once we kind of shake that off, then we can move on. But I'd love to talk about starting with resistance. Like, I'm sure you've coached some people in your commercial side of your life when you're doing a commercial and there's a VP of marketing or someone's in there and they're not comfortable on camera. How do you help some of our listeners get over that initial fear of putting themselves on camera?
100%. Yeah. And that's a big thing with Mork Productions. And it's also a big thing, on the BrandSlap side of just recording quick content. People get in their own heads as soon as you turn a camera on. And why is that? So when we're in a conversation, let's just say we're at a networking thing, happy hour, we're all having drinks, we're getting to know each other. Those conversations happen naturally. You're not thinking about every word you're saying. You're just talking. But as soon as you put a camera in front of someone, what tends to start to happen is people want to be perfect. They want everything to come out in the same way as creating a blog post. You might start a blog about a certain topic of expertise, and you write a paragraph and you're like, I don't like how I said that one sentence. And then you delete, and then you try a different version. But when you're on camera and you're talking, right, you can't do that mid-sentence, right? And so people get frozen. They say a certain word and they're like, okay, what's a better word for this situation? And then they just stop talking. But we don't really do that when we're in a conversation in a networking place. We just talk. And I'll give an example right now. I just did it on purpose. I was in the middle of a sentence. I was at an and, which is, bridging to another part of the sentence. And I started a new sentence because I'm communicating right now. It's not perfect. If you were to take a transcription of what I'm saying right now, there are repeated words. There are full pivots from one sentence to another one. But the way that we communicate on a day-to-day basis with each other, we're used to listening to that. We're used to the ums. We're used to the maybe extended pauses in a sentence to listen, to think of a word. Look, I just corrected myself in that sentence. Is that value being diminished to this audience because of how I said that sentence? You see what I'm saying?
100%.
Because that's how we communicate as humans. But the big hang up that I see people, they forget that.
Yes.
And I say embrace the imperfection.
See, that's great. That's a mic drop. Embrace the imperfection. What you're saying, it's so funny because your dog is barking, or was.
Yeah.
It's a podcast. We're not going to edit that out. We're not going to redo it. The only reason we redid it is because I forgot to press the button. Other than that, because that's life. That's real life. That's authentic. That means you're a real human. You said something I've never thought of. You said it, but it triggered a thought I never thought of. So you said embrace the imperfection. And you gave that example of us going just to a setting in a networking group or with a group of people, and how this is all natural. We do and we stutter sometimes. We forget our words. You can't rewind and redo that when you're doing that live.
Exactly.
When you're doing video, you can. So it's almost counterintuitive that we should feel more pressure live because we can't undo. If we say something silly, if your dog barks during the podcast recording, can't undo that. We can't. It's over. You know what I mean? But or we can with the, if I want to say, hey, we're going to re-record the dog bark, which we're not going to, because that's real life. So I just want everyone to hear what Andy is saying here. And you know what else? Here's the other thing. When you and find your thing and find your voice, and you said, does that diminish the value? I argue it increases the value because it tells our listeners who know us, we're authentic, real dudes. If we get any feedback, it's like, you guys seem like a couple of normal, average dudes. Yeah. Not some gurus that do everything perfect. Imagine if you and I had a conversation like a marketing read.
Yep.
Good morning, Andy. My name is Bryan Neal. I'm the host of the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast in the history of podcasts. It's great who wants to listen to that?
Yep.
Nobody.
Well, right? and the evolution of media consumption over the past 20 years has been fascinating. And I I would like to say that I do a lot of research, aka I sit on the couch watching TikTok.
Right, totally. But, guilty.
So let's, and the big thing that I've noticed as a theme is that authenticity matters, right? Our media literacy as a culture has exploded. I'll give you an example. So, let's say 20 years ago, it's 2004. Social media is in its infancy. Everyone's got maybe their MySpace page. Facebook is still college students only. Actually, I'm not even sure what year Facebook started, but it's I didn't have one yet at that point. You're watching TV and a Pizza Hut commercial comes on, right? And Brad Pitt's in it. And he holds up a slice and he goes, "Oh, I love Pizza Hut pizza." And he takes a big bite. And I'm at home and I'm watching that. And I was like, oh my goodness, Brad Pitt loves Pizza Hut pizza. I'm going to go have Pizza Hut pizza. Yeah. Fast forward 20 years. Kim Kardashian is on Instagram and she holds up some sort of lip liner thing. And she's like, my life changed when I had this lip liner come into my life. And everyone who watches that goes, that's baloney. Right. You got paid $250,000 for 2 Instagram posts to hold up that product. That's and funny. This is a deal.
Right.
Now, compare that to a trending topic among teenage girls on TikTok where all like thousands of girls are reviewing this lip, I don't remember,
Gloss,
lip
lip
liner,
gloss.
whatever,
Yeah.
lip
Lip
gloss.
liner, whatever.
And they're like, oh my gosh, this has helped with, why did I pick lip gloss? Hydration of the lips, whatever. And there's this, and the lighting is imperfect in all of these. The camera angle is not great. There's, you know, background noise. There's all these things in these videos, but the authenticity and the realness of that target audience singing the praises of that product with the imperfections, with the non-camera trained. I mean, Kim Kardashian is very good on camera. She is extremely media trained and what have you. But the power of that video to me is way less than a real person singing the praises.
Yes.
And so it's okay to be a real human.
Think about this. Do we know? And by the way, everyone listening, the goal here, and tell me if I'm wrong, Andy, the goal here is not to go viral, because that, if you listen to the podcast long enough, you know, we talk about intention. The intention is to be authentic. And when you're authentic, we all have people that love us and think we're awesome and everything else. And all of us have people who can do without us. They can for all sorts of reasons. We're just not their taste, their flavor, their cup of tea. It's fine. But when you're your real self, the people who are you're them, they're you, will find you. And those who don't won't. If you try to be someone you're not. So I can't think of a viral video that was a produced video. See what I'm saying there? I'm sure there is one, but if you think about, the Demure video right now, so big, if you watch it, like, okay, this person goes in their car on a break and just talks in the camera for 20 seconds, a minute. The way I come to work, I'm Demure. All of a sudden, everybody. Remember Dogface or whatever the guy's name is with the cranberry juice on the.
I was just about to bring up that example. It's a guy on a longboard, longboarding to work, and he's got ocean spray. I think it was ocean spray, right?
It was ocean spray cranberry juice.
And he's just drinking cranberry juice and vibing out. And
their Fleetwood Mac.
Their sales jumped like some ridiculous number, like 400% or something, if not I don't know the statistic offhand, but you could not find cranberry juice for about a month.
Yes, exactly. Right.
And because that moment was authentic.
Yes.
And that's really
that's the trick.
What does well now.
Yes.
Stanley Cup. I don't know if you remember this. I want to say it was last year. Some Jeep or something got caught on fire, but the Stanley Cup that was in the thing after the fire was gone. Was totally fine, and they opened it up and the ice was still in there.
Yes, right.
Like, you can't pay for that kind of advertising.
No, that's funny.
Now, I don't recommend for you guys to set a car on fire to sell your brand. But, going back to the viral thing, because there's these insane video numbers like Mr. Beast, for example, on YouTube, he has 200 million plus subscribers. Every time he drops a video, it's 100 million. And then, a client of ours drops a video and it's got 600 views. And it's like, okay, this was a failure.
Yeah.
Right. That's the attitude.
Yeah.
But 600, think of a room with 600 people in it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
100%.
And,
yes,
let's say 1% of them, let's say you're an accounting firm or something, and you're talking about the power
accounting,
of money or something. And 1% of your audience decides to engage with you.
Yeah.
Off of a single video. That's 6 clients.
It's a lot.
That took, 20 minutes to record the video, even 5 minutes to record the video, like a quick tip or something like that. We've been so desensitized with large numbers on social media that it's easy to forget that even 30 to 50 views is a lot of people to hear your message.
Yes. Yes.
The big thing in marketing and video specifically, I think every business, the most important thing is to be known. In video, I could be a Scorsese, Steven Spielberg level master director. But if I'm just sitting in my basement recording these masterpieces and not uploading it anywhere, I'm not going to get any business. On the flip side, I could be a very mediocre but good enough videographer. You know, I'm very average, but everyone in town knows my name.
Yep.
Guess who's making more money?
Yep. 100%. Absolutely. To be known. We're talking with Andy Mork from Mork Productions and BrandSlap. So our listeners are salespeople. They're sitting there listening to all this. Like, okay, Kim Kardashian. I'm an industrial sales guy. You know, I sell dock doors in rural Kentucky.
Sure.
Let's give that person listening some first step advice. 1, 2, 3, quick, brief. Here's a way to get started. Do this, do this, do this.
Sure. Well, I would assume that the vast majority of your audience has a cell phone.
I would assume so.
That has a camera.
I would agree. I would agree.
I'm sure there's that one guy holding on to his flip phone. Because I have a couple friends that still do that, but it's literally like one person.
Yes.
I want you guys to know the power and technology that are in cell phones nowadays is absurd.
Yeah.
Actually ridiculous. My first cell phone that had a camera, because my first cell phone didn't have a camera. My first cell phone was a Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
And it had a 0.2 megapixel camera on it. And I was so pumped because you could kind of make out faces when you took pictures.
Right.
And that was such a big deal. This phone that I have right now, this is a Galaxy Z Fold 4. It's not even the newest model. I think they just came out with the 6. This camera array, I guess, because now all cell phones have like 3 or 4 cameras on them.
Yes.
I could get into why, but that's another day.
Yeah.
This thing can shoot in 8K resolution with audio, like filtering. The technology that is in my hand right now is insane. And basically, if you have a phone that is less than 7 years old, you have a 4K camera in your pocket. I don't know if your audience realizes how absurdly lucky we are from a marketing standpoint to have that power at our fingertips.
Yeah, right.
All you have to do is turn it on and talk to it.
So there's your tip. Turn it on and talk to it. And an authentic voice, right?
Yeah.
For your cell phone. And here's I'm going to add to your tip. Just start doing it and don't post it. Just start doing it and don't post it. Because I think people just need to get comfortable with doing it. And they need to get in their car after the sales call, like, hey, I just had a sales call, and just talk about what happened. Just report what happened. What happened. Those of you somebody sell really cool and filmable stuff. Like I got clients that they're in warehouses and they're in construction sites.
Yep.
Lots of people think that's really cool. And just start going. When Andy's saying, just take your phone out. You never have to post it. You never have to. But if you never record it, you will never post it for sure. There's nothing to post. If you start recording, you have this little file in there and you're like, okay, well, I could do that. So I love that. I love that piece of advice, just to start to do it. Is there anything, last tip here as we wind up around forming content? Because people say, I don't know what to say. Do you have any tips or a quick thing that a listener can say, you know what, I can do that?
Yeah, I can rattle off some quick things.
That's great.
So first off, very quickly, when you're holding the camera, what have you, I strongly recommend eye height, about an arm's length away, because that's how you would stand when you're talking to someone. And that is like right now, both of us are talking directly to the camera. If the camera was too high, too low, you want the camera lens to be where you would talk to a human if you were just having a conversation, right?
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the video content itself, making sure that the video holds value to your target audience, that they're actually gaining something out of it, and format it in such a way that they'd want to listen. And I'll give you a quick example. I was talking with a career coach. This was last year, and he had been recording a ton of content, but he was getting like almost no views, no likes on it. He's like, what is going wrong here? And so I watched one of the videos, and this is how he formatted it. Hi, my name's John. I'm a career coach. I've been coaching people in their careers for over 15 years. I specialize in the healthcare industry and snooze. I'm scrolling. I'm bored, right?
Falling asleep.
And he goes on to talk about how to get a job in your career field out of college. That was the subject of the video. And the content was amazing, right? But the hook was horrible.
Right up front. Yep.
So what if he started it with a statistic or a hypothetical question or an anecdotal story and then got to the meat? So for example, like same exact video content. Let's try this. And I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
Did you know that over 50% of college grads don't get a job in their career field in the first 2 years out of college? As a career coach with over 15 years of experience, here's 3 things you can do to avoid that.
Right.
Boom. Now I'm going to watch that video. Way different. Same content in the middle. Absolute same content. And then at the end of the video, have some sort of call to engagement.
Yep.
And don't say like and subscribe, because like if your content is good, they're going to do it. Instead, do a call to engagement.
Yes.
So, for example, in the comments below, I would love to hear how you nailed an interview. What did you do?
Great.
To get that job? And now people will comment, oh, I showed up 10 minutes early, or I dressed really nice for the job, or I brought a copy of my resume, whatever it was. The point is now you're creating engagement on your post, which no matter what platform you post on, every social media platform loves engagement, and they're going to push that video further.
Yes.
By engaging your audience in whatever your topic you're talking about, that's going to make that video more effective, more listenable, and it's going to create a community around what you do.
Awesome. Brilliant, man. Andy, thanks for being here. Number one, I appreciate it so much. Great stuff. We're, Bill and I are listeners. We're huge fans of this. The other thing, you watch Bill and me and mostly LinkedIn for us, but you see lots of video. People say it all the time. I see your videos. I watch your videos. I'm like, good. So, and it's just a matter of doing it. And you craft it as you go. But the main thing, just start from this episode. Andy, how can Advanced Selling Podcast listeners find you to see if you can help them?
100%. So on the Mork Productions side, that is for, high-end production, but BrandSlap.com, what we do is we help people with best practices on how to record their own content. And then if they want help on the editing side, we will edit those videos and put it in their custom branding, animate their logo, caption the videos, clean up the audio, add music, that sort of thing. Yeah. Just make them look more professional and consistent. So if you ever need help with that or want a team to hold you accountable to record video, that's what we're all about.
What's contact info? Is it just BrandSlap, BrandSlap.com?
Yeah, BrandSlap.com.
That's it. Yep. And you'll find Andy.
Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Andy Mork.
Andy Mork, M-O-R-K, Mork. It should be easy to find. So.
Mork.
All right, man. Yep. Thanks for being here. I'll look forward to drumming with you in my basement, maybe. Steph will let us. I think she might. We'll see. And that's all for now. Join, again, blind-zebra.com if you want to learn about the Blind Zebra Sales Operating System Certification Program. That's a corporate program, but we'd love to have some Advanced Selling Podcast listeners in our December. We got 5 people already registered for our December certification, so don't sit on that. And join our LinkedIn group, advancedsellingpodcast.com. Just go to LinkedIn, search there, and join 13,000 of your friends to chit chat and talk. That's it. See you next time, the Advanced Selling Podcast.